The SupplyJobs Canada is a group that I created. It is intended to help foreign trained supply chain professionals, project management professionals to access resources that would help them in their career in Canada, and also to help them with challenges that might be specific to foreign trained professionals. We know there is a cultural background, the cultural differences, which is huge, and a lot of the challenges sometimes seems to border around trust, which is very important for anyone that is into business, and I think that also applies to job search situation with the foreign trained professionals. So as one of the reasons I started this platform to help with mentoring, to help providing resources in terms of even experts, resources that could help with some of these challenges, be it in the areas of communication, even in the area of professional development. I mean, just mentioning anything that would help them to be able to progress in their career here in Canada and to adapt actually to the business environment here in Canada. So way it works is you could join as a member, and then you have access to different channels, that actually addresses, you know, diverse topics. And there are some channels that are actually dedicated to specific professionals. For example, here you have the ITC professionals. So this is meant to segment the type of resources that we bring in here, that we could have people who actually would be interested in maybe career development in IT. They will be able to go into this channel and see resources that are available. We have different channels that pertains to networking, personal branding. So these are all segments where you could see resources that could assist you in your career development. And then this month, we're talking about the innovation, the emerging technologies that are impacting supply chain and the industry, as a matter of fact. We've heard a lot of different prognoses. We've heard people say that how, well, our jobs, as supply chain professionals, is no longer going to exist because apparently there is artificial intelligence that could do what we are doing better, even in a very short time. And perhaps with artificial intelligence, they don't go to sleep, they don't need a sick leave, and they're working 24 hours. What that portends is we are not going to be having a job, in 2 years, in 5 years. So we took it upon ourselves to actually seek for the facts, to really understand different perspectives to these things, to not only look at the people who are telling an Armageddon is going to happen in the industry, but to seek other opinion, other perspectives about the artificial intelligence. Not only that, also about all these other technologies that are emerging. Okay, so for today we have Dr. Parminder Singh, who is operations improvement specialist. He's a faculty member at the Edwards School of Business, and then as a process improvement and operational optimization specialist, he taught supply chain courses, which includes operations management, management information systems, and lean management at the University of Manitoba MBA program. And also, he was a former logistics and SCM program coordinator at the Robertson College here in Winnipeg. So he has a lot of experience that covers some of the issues that we're going to be talking about today. Because when we talk about supply chain, it actually pertains to a lot of different activities, both on the upstream side and the downstream side. Talking about the procurement activities, where these materials in the industry have been acquired, and also talking about logistics, operations, sales and marketing. Pretty much all of these activities are going to be impacted by the emerging technologies, starting from the artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, which is also a very big one. We're actually looking forward to speak with somebody as well. So as I was saying, we're going to have So we're gonna have him talk about some of his experience as somebody who has practiced some of the things that we are interested in covering here, talking about optimization using data analytics. Some of the interesting that has happened in the past few weeks, we had the Supply Chain Management Association actually released supply chain competence framework. And it is interesting that out of the 5 core uh, skill sets that has been identified, competencies that has been identified, supply chain analytics, okay, is one of those that were identified. And it is interesting that they actually mention use of variety of techniques like the predictive modeling, machine learning. Yeah, well, that is pretty much new to me when you talk about, my own experience in supply chain. I haven't seen anywhere where I came across anybody using machine learning. Not to say that there are no organizations actually applying these advanced skills or professional applying these advanced skills, but I will really need to learn more about this to see how I, as a professional in the industry, could adapt and then acquire these new skill sets to be able to future proof my career. A kind of a background to the discussion we are having today, and this is the reason why we have Dr. Parminder, who is going to be talking about the data analytics aspects of it, and also the supply chain. Really talk about this is a situation where you've been working in the supply chain 2.0, so to speak. There's also 3.0, and now we're talking about 4.0. So the essence of all of this is that even our skill sets need to be upgraded, because there seems to be a huge gap when we talk about, our ability to actually also seen in my own research with my group, the SupplyJobs Canada. We've seen a situation where even when a company wants to adopt these technologies, like, okay, so the advanced technologies we're saying are, you know, um, disrupting the industry. For example, the machine learning aspects. We realize that, okay, if you're gonna apply these technologies, there are a lot of data that are required, big data, because apparently from the little I know how this works, there are algorithms basically that these machines are supposed to use to, come to some conclusion and, basically be able to do things automatically, with the automation part of it. But data seems to be a very critical aspect of this, the critical success factor for such type of implementation when it comes to artificial intelligence. Can you speak more into this? Because I think you mentioned something about big data being a dirty business, or I can't remember what you actually said, but I know these are some of the challenges that the companies are actually going through. So in my own profession, for example, we deal with a lot of data, basically to be able to gain insights. If, for example, in sourcing, if we are actually going to maybe apply some strategic approach to our sourcing, of course, we rely on data, and then most of the time we manually will, do some of this data crunching, and then using Excel spreadsheet to capture some of the data as we're able to get. So I think at every stage in there, I don't know what they call it, is it data life cycle or something of that nature? I don't know if what the right language is. It appears that we will actually have a lot of challenges in process of trying to adopt these new technologies. If we haven't really fixed our data already, then probably we're even nowhere, to start talking about implementing the emerging technologies. Well, what do you say to that, given your experience with, the big data challenges you had on some of the projects you worked on?
Yes, data is the critical part. But what I have noticed from these projects I worked on, even if you have clean, streamlined data coming in from sensors and it's already clean for you to just use it to make certain decisions by using some tools, there's still lack of understanding how to put that in use effectively. So just going back to the production scheduling example, the company, I mean, that particular organization, they already have, they were collecting data from their entire shop floor. They had their own customized scheduling package in place, but they're still using old techniques to use the production scheduling that's standard, like first in, first out, and without doing any optimization. Even before you lead to the optimization, you need to understand what's the effect of those data points or the KPIs that you're capturing on the entire facility, right? Not only one single machine. So the analysis part is missing, even if the data is good. Now, going back to your point of dirty or unstructured data. So, I mean, yes. So I teach a very classic case study from Walmart to one of my information system students, and for one of my courses. And it's just very difficult to deal with unstructured data using the tools we have on disposal in most of the organizations, which is like Excel. And when you ask students, or even some of the students who already work in industry from years, so they even don't know about like RapidMiner or Excel Miner, so these kind of tools. So I believe there's need to be a process in place, either if you talk about an organization or even education system, where you walk them through the process without emphasizing, without more emphasizing on how to use these tools, but they should be aware of process. As the new technologies comes in, you're going to have a new software app or new kind of system that's throwing in data and doing the analysis. But the idea is, can you follow a structured process to make those decisions? So that's kind of my take on that. Well, I would love to hear from attendees too, like Irvin. He's coming from ICT background, right? And Caleb is from logistics and supply chain. So they may have encountered those kind of situations too.
So talking about the data structure now, is that what your question really pertains to? So you know what I would really appreciate, if you can actually go into, okay, what does the process look like? Because for me, that's one thing I'm actually interested in as an outcome for me from this event, to actually know, because I know data analytics or data science, there is a process to it. Can you just give us like an overview? Okay, what that process looks like end to end?
Okay, so so data science and data analytics, I mean, we may have a different view on that, because even when we have discussions on conferences, or even we are developing a data analytics course here, I mean, you never agree to these terms. But as I see it, I mean, when you talk about data science, you're more kind of shifting towards the having background in computer science, so they can write the programs, do the customization, do the algorithms with a strong statistical background. Okay. On the other hand, when you talk about data analysis or the data analyst, so you're kind of having a good blend of all three. You need to have a good business knowledge too, right? Okay. So that's if we say, okay, we're going to have let's say we're going to apply data analysis in procurement. So yes, you need to have some mathematical background, such as statistical knowledge, knowledge of some tools that you're going to use. Plus, you should have very good understanding of the procurement process. Because at the end of the day, you're using these mathematical statistical tools, Excel, or any software or any tool to support that particular business process. If it fits the bill, then yes, this is a very good tool or very good method you're using, right? But now coming back to the entire process, I feel that there are 4 stages. I mean, again, on that, we may have some disagreement on that, but the process always starts with the capturing. Okay. So which could be structured or unstructured data that you may get from various sources. So like if I just relate it to one of my projects, so in the construction project, we had both structured and unstructured data. We had data that was coming directly from Costain's databases, based on their historical projects, historical project performance. And then we have some unstructured data, because we can't fully, in that particular situation, rely on those KPIs or the past project data. We also need to know what different people who are working or who are the process owners, what their take is on that. So we did some loss of unstructured interviews. We did some surveys to collect data on how much time a particular process takes. What are the different quality issues? Then that led to data cleansing. So which I believe one of the most important parts. So in cleansing, again, like removing anomalies. Let's say the past project data says the activity number 2 takes 10 minutes, and then your business process owner or the process owner, he tells you, no, it takes 15 minutes now. So really, which value is I need to use, which one is outlier, right? And you may have some missing values. So how are we going to kind of rectify those errors? So then you lead to the analysis, right? And in analysis, from my viewpoint, we are not only interested in the numbers or simply crunching numbers or doing some transformation. No, it needs to create a very good visualization too, so that you can knit a nice story around the process that you want to improve or the process under investigation. Otherwise, I mean, let's say you are a data analyst, you may be very good in some of the techniques, you know what these results are saying, but at the end of the day, you want to make them or use them in the decision-making process. So it needs to be translated or visualized in a very effective manner to tell a very good story, right? So that's why I believe the other tools are much more superior if we just simply kind of talking about, like we were talking earlier about Excel. So like Power BI or Tableau. So those tools are much more effective when it comes to analysis and visualization than simply using Excel, right? So I hope I kind of answer your question around the process.
Yeah, so I heard capturing, I heard data cleansing.
Data collection or the data capturing, which is both structured and unstructured. Then it leads to the cleansing, data cleansing, and then it goes to data analysis, then finally the visualization, right?
Okay.
No,
So,
I mean, you may argue, okay, we are going to start with a problem. Yes, that's fine. I mean, you can put this in a problem solving model, right? Where you define a problem, then put a definition around it, then again, it's just going to start from the data collection again, right?
yeah.
And after visualization, you can say, okay, we're going to use it for certain decision-making process. Yeah.
So,
Those are kind of few key steps.
yeah, great. So, the other thought I had around all of this is because in the end, say for example in supply chain management or in project management, which is actually the example that you've provided here, it appears that you're talking about collating some information, build historical, the maybe KPIs, you know, that you could get from maybe lessons learned on our project, and
Yep.
then maybe ongoing quality issues. You're able to pick some data points about, you know, and these are the capturing. This is the capturing stage.
Yep.
So, but just like you mentioned towards the end of what you were talking about, you know, like we're trying to solve a problem here. I believe that's in the end for a business. This
Mm-hmm.
whole process, you know, just it ties around. I'm trying to solve a business problem. I'm trying to see what insights I could get, you know, from all these data points that I'm picking. And the question that comes to mind for me is, you know, we have different types of analytics, right? And I'm thinking, because the old way that we sort of used data was a descriptive kind of a thing,
Yep.
where because when I look at this this end-to-end process you just talk about now, you mentioned eventually you talk about visualization. So
Mm-hmm.
how does this tie into the data analytics in terms of industry 4.0, because the data analytics that I used to know ties around business intelligence. Like, okay, you're just looking at the data, all data basically. You're trying to see what the trends are, and then maybe you could make some prognosis and you know. But as it is right now, it looks like we're just beyond that when we're talking about Industry 4.0. What can you say about that?
I mean, yes, we can look into that. So what the level, okay, so let's go by what you said earlier. I mean, yes, we always used to focus on descriptive. Anyway, lots of companies still focus on descriptive analytics, which is just simply going through what I say, the basic analysis, looking into statistical techniques, right?
Yeah.
Then we say predictive, where you start bringing in demand planning or the business forecasting. So that's kind of new term trending in these days, business forecasting. Then you have this concept of prescriptive, which is prescribing you to the different avenues to provide you various solutions, right? Now, if I'm a small organization and I'm kind of leaning towards Industry 4.0, I mean, the what if analysis techniques, I mean, decision trees, they are already exist from from a longer time, and they kind of give you very good prescriptive analysis at a very basic level, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, very good example I have seen with is with virtual factory, right? Where the factory is able to organize itself based on, so what, the example I'm talking here is, let's say a customer order changes. So customer asks you to make a customized BMW. And so in a kind of 4.0 concept, we want the entire resources on the shop floor being organized to fulfill that particular order.